Hello, guys.
Well, hello everyone.
Hi.
And good afternoon to you. It might be evening where you are, so good evening to you also as well. And greetings and the best of the day from us, the Folsons. Right?
Yeah.
Today is a special day. What
Drum
today is
roll.
today? Drum roll.
Drum roll. Today is our 6th wedding anniversary, guys.
Yes.
We have been married for 6 whole years. So, I mean, for me, it's just, I'm like, but where did the time go?
Where
Because,
did the
babe,
years
honestly, I feel like it was just yesterday. I don't know where the time went.
Yeah.
So, I think for me, that is, it's a good sign. Because I don't even know where the time went. And I'm feeling like, I got married yesterday, right? So, yeah, my heart is filled with gratitude. I'm sure we'll get there, but...
Yeah, actually, I feel the same.
Yeah.
It's been like a blink of an eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was talking to someone recently, and this person's like relatively new to Canada, and I was telling them I've been around for about 7 years, and they're like, wow, and I was kind of giving him like a year by year breakdown
Of your journey in Canada?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, and it was interesting to me that each year had like a dominant theme or some kind of theme around it, and I think it's similar. It's
interesting,
similar
right?
It would be a similar thing for us. That since we got married, I think each year has had like a dominant theme or something that was front of mind.
I would agree.
Yes, right.
I would
So
agree.
maybe we'll do some recapping just to see.
Okay,
what
I'm not sure I can remember everything, but
Oh,
we'll
no,
see.
it's not something
We'll
detailed,
see.
but
Yeah, we'll see. Because my first year was in the US.
yes, there's
so I
the
can
dynamics
talk about
around all those
exactly.
things, right? Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe what I want us to do, let's start just before, or let's say the few months before we got married.
Okay.
The year before you were.
I was wrapping up my PhD
Mm-hmm.
studies at Queen's University, and so I wrapped up I finished in the summer actually. I think I finished in the summer, but then I did my convocation.
No, you finished
Wait,
late in the
I
year.
finised around December.
Yeah,
You see,
of the
my
previous
husband
year.
has such a good memory. I'm telling you, he knows the birthdays of all my siblings. So I finished in December, right? So it was a good Christmas, to have that whole PhD thing, come to an end. And I did my convocation the summer of the next year. In June. So then after the convocation is when we went to Ghana to get married in August.
Yeah. So what was going through your mind during that period? Because I think we had actually changed the date of initially we were thinking about December.
A December, right?
wedding,
Yeah.
Maybe for the previous year, but I think that didn't quite work out.
So here's
right?
the thing. You know how important my education has been to me since, day one, right? And of course, it's a blessing that God made it possible. And so in my mind, I just wanted to finish that, phase of my life.
Okay.
Because I was almost at the end anyway. It's not like I was coming to, it's not like going to start a PhD and saying, wait, when I finish, then I'll come and get married. No, right? When I was starting my PhD, there was no conversations around whatever. The marriage was not in the picture at all. But because I was getting to the end, I'm like, why not wrap up and then know I'm done,
Completely
right?
done.
I'm done. So then Kweku and I had that discussion, and so that's how we decided to kind of move it to the next year. So I did a convocation in June, and then I think we went to Ghana in, I don't know if it was July. July. So then there was time, right? Even between December and convocation time. So I had January all the way doing the plannings and still looking into what next for me in terms of career, right?
Yeah.
So I was looking at all that. So before we went to Ghana to get married, I knew where my next step was in terms of career too.
Right,
So
which was very important.
so
and I
for
think
me,
it's maybe this
Yeah.
delves into the aspect of balancing like career, education, and marriage, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we've had a few experiences where we've interacted with people where people have put career and education on hold for marriage, and
Oh.
they have foregone certain opportunities
Yeah.
just because of I want to join my family. I
Okay,
want to
now
go
that you're
there,
mentioning, I remember some
So what are your
stories.
thoughts on that? Like, how would you advise a young lady when it comes to career, marriage, school opportunities, and
Well, babe, that's a very big, that's a very big question, and I mean, this is my own perspective. I'm not forcing it down anybody's throat, but and a lot of factors when somebody is advising you or recommending something, know that it's a lot of factors, like where they are coming from, their own experiences, all speak into why they are telling you to do this or to not to do this.
Yeah.
So for me and where I'm coming from in my context and what I believe God wants me to do on earth in terms of my purpose and the directions God wants me to take, I believe strongly that I needed to prioritize my education.
okay,
Right? Not that I won't prioritize my marriage, but I needed to also prioritize my education so that, worst case scenario, they would all be moving alongside each other in a very, wise, in a very thought out, way, so that one is not suffering in the name of the other. And I believe that sometimes one may suffer, term it as sacrifices we make for the greater good.
okay,
So sometimes you may need to endure some kind of pain, some kind of discomfort, and that could be being separated from your husband for some time, maybe just so you can get something, and by God's grace you come back to your husband. There are some opportunities that are not always there. But I believe as Christians, once we marry, we are not going to leave our husbands, or our husbands are not going to leave us until God calls, one of us when our time is up on earth, right? So I feel like that will not be you losing or missing out on any opportunity, or even if you would, if you compared it to opportunities that may come up in education. Some scholarship can come up today and tomorrow it's no longer there. See, the scholarship I got to come to Canada, there was an age limit. Okay, so it's like people below the age of 30. Or think about it, your husband will be there by God's grace. You being 31 will not let your husband leave you. But if you decided to, because of my husband, I'm married, that kind of thing, let me wait and push the scholarship away, well, by the next year you'll be 31 or 32 and you'll no longer be eligible for that scholarship. So that is how I'll be advising the younger me or young people that, I always, counsel, I help people, I mentor and things like that. So I give the background, like this is where I am coming from. So you weigh it, right? You weigh it, and then you see that no, this is the way to go. And of course, like praying to God, and God will show you the way. But it's not, hey, I must come, and then it's like no, marriage is good by God's grace, but life is not all about marriage. Like, to be honest, somebody will say, well, it's not all about education. Yes, it's not. So it's not all about this or that. It's a combination of everything, right? So why don't
fine balance.
There's a fine balance. Me, dear, personally, I will not leave some education opportunity or work opportunity and say I'm married. So no, that's why God gave me the kind of husband who has been babe and like comes up to my husband, like whatever you see, like in me, my husband is. They say behind every successful woman there's what do they say? There's a man.
A supportful man.
Flip it too. That behind, when you see women who are, advancing like in career and ministry, you see me like I give birth barely 3 months. I'm standing on the stage doing 7 in the worship team. You know that it should just tell you my husband is like 100% good by God's grace. It's not automatic. How many people give birth 3 months? They are standing on stage doing well.
Yeah.
Well, it was even barely 3 months.
Yeah.
Like 2 months or so. A C-section and then I'll be standing on the stage singing. You can't even tell I'm you cannot even tell of giving birth because by God's grace I have a supportive husband. So did I answer the question?
Yes, you have, and I think that's
Yeah.
also one of the important things. Recently we're reading this devotion and
Yeah.
talking about secrets of marriages which last,
Right.
and it was talking about like the intentionality or the decision, right?
Exactly.
And like a decision has to be made that we are going to make this thing work, right? And I feel there's a lot of decision making that factors into like successful marriages,
Right.
and a lack of that can also even lead to some marriages not being successful or as successful
Right.
as they ought to be. So there's that element also of decision making or being intentional, like
Yeah.
putting it at the back of your mind. I feel that in this our current generation, we don't have a lot of people, or we have some people going into marriage without or having that mindset that look, I can get out anytime.
Okay,
Or it's
yeah.
like this thing is not something that is permanent, or
Right.
it's not something that is supposed to last the
Yeah.
lifetime. It's like
So
if
there's the
something
option of
happens,
they can
it's-
go,
yes,
yeah.
like exiting a
Yeah.
marriage has become an option, and having that kind of mindset, it kind of feeds into your, should I say, your subconscious, like,
Oh, yeah.
and it
Oh, yeah.
influences your decision making and even how you see
Things,
things, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like at the back of your mind, if they do, I'll just
Sorry.
walk away, or I can't kill myself. I have to, I can easily check out, or I can easily, I can easily walk out the door if anything comes up, because after all, what. But I think that we must get to that point where we understand like the sanctity of marriage as an institution. We must understand the commitment aspect. If you look at the marriage vows, I know most people on that it's like nothing that is said or done actually registers, right?
Just
But it
it's
talks about,
become like some kind of norm.
A ritual, it's like
it's
forsaking all others.
Yeah, all those things.
Forsaking all others.
Yeah.
What
does that
marriage
even
or-
mean? What does that mean, right?
And so these are some of the things that I think about, and I'm like, wow, this marriage thing is not child's play.
No,
right?
it's not.
It requires a certain level of maturity. It requires a certain level of understanding.
Exactly.
It requires a certain level of commitment and intentionality, like nothing else before.
Yeah.
Determination. You must be determined to make it work, and both parties need to be determined,
it's
right?
both parties. It's
One
not just
cannot
the
be,
woman. Neither is it only the man, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
both of you need to have that
Mindset,
determination
right?
and that
Yeah.
intentionality that look, we are going to make this thing work. And I mean, if you're a person of faith, you're a Christian, then you even have, how do I say it? You have a higher responsibility.
Yeah, but you also have support from God. Like you know
Yeah.
that God is with you, and because all of these things, like when you see people's marriages looking so nice and all, it's like a lot goes into it. Prayer and everything. Not just the prayer, but as
like,
you
the
said, the
spiritual,
intentionality,
the
but the
physical,
spiritual is
the
also
social, the
very
emotional,
important, right? Everything, right? It's not just on one person.
Yeah.
I don't see that, making the marriage work if only one person is concerned about it. Did this go well? Or, because Kuku and I are at this point where we even host, people and go like, we do a check-in and we're like, okay, so how did we do? I'll ask Kuku that, okay, before they come, can you taste the food? I'll say, babe, like, does it taste well? And he's honest, like Kuku dear, like he's honest. He's a very subjective. We call it objective. Like once he says it's okay, I believe it. So we check in. Oh, we did well. Okay, maybe next time we can do this or that, or this or this. No, we.
Yeah, I think
we
that's
chat,
also
we
one
chat
of the,
about
one
all
of the
these things and
also,
no hard feelings and
Yeah,
things like
I
that.
mean,
So
the teamwork, like when
I think that is it.
when there's the saying that marriage is teamwork, like it's true. Like first of all, you need to understand that you are both on the same team. Right?
Yeah.
You are not on different sides you are not on different teams competing with each other and trying to one up each other or trying to prove a point to the other. You are both on the same team.
No, we're on the same team. And now I even understand when you think about parenting too, because now our twin girls, sometimes they will come and tell me, Daddy said this, so they are asking me too. I'll say, well, I have the same answer. So now it's like they think they can trick they think they can trick me or something like that, but I'm like, no, you can't even trick me.
I also want to talk about seasons of marriage or the seasons in marriage, and understanding that there are seasons, and just as in life, the Bible says about to everything there's a season and a purpose.
So how would you tie the seasons to the yearly thing that you
mentioned?
mentioned?
So I think yes. So I mean, the first year for us was more or less, it was kind of
long
finding
distance.
Yeah, because honestly, we got married in August. We came back like late August. September, you were moving to the United States. Initially I wanted to come to the United States. You said I shouldn't come. I should stay in Canada.
I can't remember that conversation.
Oh, you don't? Oh, yeah, I remember. I wanted to come to the
now
US.
That you mentioned it, I
no,
remember.
I think you should stay in Canada and take care of things and work towards your citizenship and all those things.
Yeah. So did I give you
on hindsight?
counsel?
On hindsight, it was good advice. But
or you would have gotten more money.
Oh no! I mean, on hindsight, I think it was good. Although it was difficult for me because I was like, we just got married, and it's like you get married and then you are living apart. But I think it was good that I didn't come. Right? It was good that I didn't come on hindsight because really, the very next year, COVID-19 set in and the whole world went, crazy. Imagine if we were trying to move back to Canada during COVID. It would have been like really difficult, right?
Because then we would now be thinking about
where are we going to stay?
And, but when I came back, you already had
I was already here, so you just came back and
going to a church. I just followed you to the church.
Exactly.
Okay, where's this?
So it was good that I stayed, and it also counted towards me also. Meeting my citizenship requirements.
So you should be thanking me.
Yes, thank you. That's why I'm saying that it was a good counsel.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying that it was a good counsel, right? But it was, it's. I think it was a difficult season, or it was a challenging season being long distance immediately after you get married. And September I was in the US for like 2 weeks, came back. I was looking for a job at that time. I found a job, but then the job was, it was really stressful. That season, November going into December, Christmas, we came back to Canada a few weeks, and I would go and come back. And then we left to the States, and my passport was not ready, and the date arrived. They had locked the borders. So for like 8 months we were apart.
But I think one thing that really helped us is God and I think the consistency in the communication. Because like we were communicating every day. I think we did it very early in the morning before I even went to campus. Right? And me too, I was in a phase of my career where I was trying to find my foot, and I was just reading over one recommendation letters from my postdoc supervisors, and as I read, I'm like, I was just smiling, like top percent, the worst dear. But then when I reflect back, I'm like, but I really worked. Okay, I really worked. So I think that kind of engagement, that one advantage of that, I don't think if you were with me, I can't work. Even when you are there, I still work. But I feel like me being alone in my room, and I was able to give a focus.
Also with the lockdowns, it was like
is that not when I even wrote my memoir? Because
during the lockdowns, it was like
I could work. I even had extra time to write a book. Because where are you going?
Which was another season where you were a single married person.
I was a single married person. Single married. So it's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, and then that whole season passed. We came back to Canada 2021. I mean, it was like still coming out of lockdown
and things were
trying
slow.
to get back into the flow of things.
Exactly.
And at that time I think I was back at work. I found a job in May of 2020, and then I worked till September of that year.
Because when I came, you were working, right?
So changing of careers, and we were just kind of finding our feet. It was kind of interesting coming out of COVID, right? So I think it was during that time where we did a few travels, to the US and
back.
Where
did we go? The Pennsylvania and stuff like that.
Doing all the nose swabs, and we did it so many times. And then I think that's when we also went to Ghana.
We went to Ghana,
right? So we went to Ghana within that season, and it was quite an interesting season, right? Navigating post-COVID life and travel and doing all of that, and then
so that was year what?
That was year 2. Year 2 into year 3, right?
Year 3.
But actually,
Yeah, year 2 to year 3.
Year 2 to year 3, and that's
So what
when
will
we
be
were
the
like
theme of that? Post-COVID, coming out.
pregnancy.
Okay, so
right?
pregnancy was then going to the third
Yes.
year, right?
Yeah, going into the 3rd year, and that
Yes.
also had its own
Yeah.
challenges, right? We have a video.
That one link, go and please watch
Go
the video.
on the YouTube, we have the
we
videos
still
there.
have more of such videos
Yep,
we need
yep.
to upload.
Yeah, so
we do that.
navigating pregnancy, preparing for like parenthood,
we
all those things.
Make you and
Yes.
hey, babe, we've been through things. So
I know, right?
Hey.